They're on?
Fantastic.
Not yet.
Oh, they're not. Alright, they were for a second.
Thanks for keeping an eye on us, Kevin.
Thanks for
Special
keeping-
meeting.
No, not at all. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Metropolitan Council Committee of the Whole. I'm Charlie Zelli, Chair. Welcome. Good to see everybody. I know many of you might be tired, but we have an interesting.
I think your mic is off.
There it is. Hello, this is Charlie Zeller, Chair of the Council. You are at the Committee of the Whole meeting this Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. Now that we have all our systems running, we'll call this meeting to order. And there is one agenda item, which is our quarterly update on safety and security. We look forward to that, which we do every quarter. But first, there were minutes taken on our meeting of the Committee of the Whole on October 16th, 2024, that was sent out in advance. If there's any corrections or any issues, now is a good time to describe them. Otherwise, I would accept a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
Move approval. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, those minutes are approved. So I want to welcome up the team, starting with Leslie Caderas, General Manager, and
Should have Chief Dotson go
Chief Dotson is going to kick us off. I've heard you a couple of times today, and every time it gets better, so I'm looking forward to the latest and the greatest on your safety and security action plan. Welcome.
Chair, council members, good afternoon. Just speed this up here a little bit, there's my section there. So, Chair, council members, good afternoon. My name is Joe Dotseth. I'm the interim chief of police at Metro Transit. And just before I get started, I just wanted just a little bit about myself. I know many of the council members, and just to refresh, my name is Joe Dotseth. I'm the interim chief at Metro Transit. I've been a police officer for 23 years, 20 of those years at Metro Transit. Prior to being the interim chief of police, I was the captain of our support services division. So what that really meant is I oversaw a lot of the administrative functions at the police department. And with that, we'll start into the presentation here. Each quarter we come to the Committee of the Whole, we have an opportunity to just really talk about crime data and other stuff that's happening at the police department. This slide here really refers to quarter crime data there, so we'll kind of walk through that. As we walk through each one of these slides, we're going to kind of bounce back from year-to-date information and then something that we call like seasonality information, so that's quarter to quarter. So what this chart here shows that crime from quarter 1, 2024 to the end of this quarter, 2023, is down 20%, and those raw numbers at 2147 to 17%. When we talk about the seasonality, right, the same time last year, crime is up 6.7%. That being said, if you take away smoking, which I'll get to here in a second, crime is actually down 2.4%. Speaking about smoking, in 2024, smoking has been our top crime, right? So there's been 831 citations in there. And that really is a testament to what we try to do when we talk about like problem-oriented policing, right? We hear these comments, we hear the information from riders, from our citizens that, you know, that people are smoking on the train, that's a concern. So our staff this year has really done a lot of joint focused enforcement details, focusing on the issue, so that's why you're seeing that number increase so much. Total reported crime is down 8.4% year to date. So those raw numbers that are on the farm right there, you'll see that 2023 the numbers were 6,066, and then currently right now we're at 5,556. So that's a subtraction of 8.4%. You'll see again back to seasonality. There's a slight uptick seasonality for crime in there, but again a lot of that has to do with the proactive police work that the officers are doing. When we speak about that proactive work, I'll talk about this a little bit throughout the presentation. Our officers are so proactive and they're out there on the system, they're doing what we want them to do, we're addressing problems in the community. So you can see that the crimes out there, about 44%, really from this year and last year, that's from the officers doing proactive work. And that's a number that we're very proud of, right? Because that means the staff is out there, they're addressing concerns, they're not just sitting back and letting stuff happen. we talked about the FBI top 7 crimes. This is a number that we present, quite often when we talk about these are the FBI top 7 crimes, right? There's a list of them that are up there, like serious offenses like crimes against persons. Those numbers year to date, right, are down 14.5%. Again, when we talk about seasonality though, they are up 11, raw number of 11, right? And there's been a slight uptick of thefts on the system, right? But our officers are out there, I'll talk a little bit about it later in a future slide about doing proactive work, doing details on the system. But overall, year to date, the FBI top 7 crimes are down 14.5%. Crime data, we report this often to the committee of the whole. This also comes from like a NTD report that we run with safety and our friends at Operation and Metro Transit. So really what that graph on the left talks about is crime per 100,000 system-wide overall crime, right? And that number is 12.66. On the right, it's the FBI top 7 crime. That number is at 2.6. But you can see the chart on the left, right, that things are decreasing. So that is again something that we're proud of. Not just the police department's work. I'll get to that later in my presentation too. And then really the FBI top 7 crimes. That number has been really remaining kind of consistent over the years. Calls for service. You can see again, the officers are out there doing the work. Over half of the calls for service, right? This is the proactive police work, this is the directed patrols, the officers checking out, onboard vehicles. That number still is up over 50%. So that is, again, something that we're very proud of. Even though, we'll talk about it later, that we're short-staffed and, those challenges, these officers are still out there working very hard. I'll keep talking about that through the presentation. Speaking of the officers and staffing, right, it's something that we've certainly been a challenge over the last couple of years. As of this chart, when we put together this information, there was 108 cops. 2 officers started this Monday, so we're actually at 110. And then the CSOs are up there at 15 out of 70. One of the CSOs, or one of the new officers that started this week, was just a CSO as well, so that's good news. The support services division, which really is our admin team, again, back to something that I've overseen the last couple of years, we actually onboarded 31, 32, and we're recruiting for 33. We've been very lucky retaining our administrative staff, so I'm very thankful for that. We have 2 administrative managers that really helped lead that charge on there. So while, we still have a challenge like everybody in the region and the country recruiting and retaining police officers, our administrative staff have stayed with us and they do an amazing job. So what are we doing to recruit officers, right? The CSO Pathways program, that really is our cadet program, right? There's all kinds of acronyms that other agencies have. The state has a couple of different programs that are going on, but the CSO program, in the entire time that I've been in Metro Transit, really is our system of future officers. So currently we have the CSO Pathways program ongoing right now. We actually sent applications through November 19th, and the successful applicants that will onboard them. Our target time is April of 2025. And then we do have another session planned in January 2025 because we have a lot of momentum going and we want to keep this open all the time. So really what that Pathways program is going to do, right, it's like a cadet program. So you don't have to have any experience in law enforcement. We're going to bring you in and we're going to hire you as a CSO. We're going to pay for your schooling and we're going to train you on transit policing and get you up to speed on everything. So it's great. And again, one of the efforts to our partners at HR, this is the second cohort we're doing right now, and that picture up there is CSO Russo. There's a KSTP article that they highlighted the work that he's been doing out there too. That was from our cohort, one of our success stories, and he's great. Positive attitude comes in every day. It's really a success story. So the second cohort, we have an open house on November 13th that we're going to be pushing on that. We've been really, really fortunate to partner with the Axtell group. So retired Chief Todd Axtell and retired Commissioner John Harrington, former Transit Police John Harrington, are partnering with that, and I'm really grateful for their partnership. So we're going out there at schools, with the police associations. We're really taking a really strong effort, a really aggressive effort, because our hiring goals for next year, we want to do 4 academies at 10 officers in each academy, which I know is a goal and it's aggressive, but that's what we want to do. We're taking a really aggressive approach to get into the CSO's Pathways program. And I think that we're working with communications. There should be, at some point, 2 videos forthcoming. I don't think they've hit our social media yet. One promoting just current CSOs that we've had over the years that have been success stories in our organization. And then Chief Axtell and Commissioner Harrington have been partnering in that video as well. So we're excited about that. Retaining staff, right? It's about building culture. You know, in my 20 years at Metro Transit, you know, I've had a lot of opportunities that I'm very grateful for. And part of that is having a system in place and really a mentorship program to, you know, help our staff. So this year, it took us about a year to get these guides together, but they're career development guides. So we're out there talking to our staff. This is just one example. And through our Great Workplace project, we developed these guides, and they're very comprehensive, right? So it talks about your performance management system. We get people on the last page, like, you know, if I'm an officer and what do I want to do, be a sergeant, right? We start listing stuff out. So we're really taking an aggressive approach to just mentor our staff right now, to really let them understand there are a lot of opportunities here at the council. And we have the Metro Transit Police Department is a great place to work, so we're really excited about these guides and we're working with our staff to promote them. Gives people opportunity, right? Career development, stuff like that. Partnerships, you know, over the last couple of weeks, you know, I've been really fortunate in this interim role to go out and meet with a lot of our partners and just kind of reestablish some relationships. So, you know, the transit police really is based upon partnerships, and I'm really grateful for our partners in the region. Just a couple highlights up there are Green Line joint details. Really thanks to one of our sergeants here in the East Command, Sergeant Johnson. He's been working with the St. Paul Police Department on details along the University Corridor. We went to roll calls at West Command with staff, really kind of getting back to some like traditional transit policing, and I'll talk about that a little later, really working with our partners, partnering actually with them, like going to roll calls and going out there. Those details have been extremely successful, right? So we're continuing to do those and focus on that. Gold Line and Green Line extension outreach. We had a CMC meeting earlier with our partners along the Gold Line, but we've really done a lot of outreach with our partners along Gold Line and Green Line extension. Actually tomorrow we're going to Hopkins to talk to them about Green Line extension, but just re-engaging those relationships, right? Back with those command staffs and those teams in those areas. And thanks to really both of the project offices on Gold Line and Green Line, they've helped us kind of coordinate that effort. So when we go out there, it's not just necessarily the police department, we are bringing out multiple people in transit, and that's been super successful. And then just joint powers agreements, you know, thanks to the council, we've been sending through a lot of joint powers agreements recently, but that really is back to the administrative work that our administrative team has done the last couple of years, working on these documents and making sure everything's up to date and it's current language in there. But those joint powers agreements, they're really just the former relationships of really the partnerships that's on there. So I know we've had, and again, thanks to the council for approving those. One of the several joint powers agreements, one of the ones that we're really excited about for 2025 is the joint powers agreement with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, where we plan on back to career development, putting an officer on the violent crime reduction unit. And that's really gonna help us maximize our resources with our partners in the region too, and give our staff some development opportunities. And just partnerships, again, I'm very grateful for all of the chiefs in the regions, the U.S. Marshals, Department of Justice, the FBI, the TSA, APTA, I mean, everybody on that list, we've met with, the command staff's met with the last couple of weeks to reestablish those partnerships. And I'm grateful for that. For the Commissioner of Public Safety, he's been great, giving us some advice. I mean, just really the Superintendent of the BCA, like just focusing on our partnerships in the area here. I'm really grateful for the support that they've given us the last 7 weeks. And then the peer advisory groups, you know, from a transit aspect, you know, that really is, when you think about the APTA Association, I was on a call last week with the BART Transit Chief and then the New Jersey Transit Chief, just really establishing our relationship with those peer advisory groups, because while, you know, policing in the region is one thing, transit policing is different. It's not bad different, it's just different. There's some things that we need to make sure that we're meeting with our peer advisory groups, and I'm really thankful to the BART Chief and the New Jersey Transit Chief just for some of the advice that they've given me in the last couple of weeks. Outreach, you know, something that I know the Homeless Action Team came recently and did a presentation to the committee, and you know, they're great. I mean, they're award-winning, thanks to Commissioner Harrington when he was chief here, really starting that team. But that team still really continues to drive the efforts out there of outreach, right? Of being out there, connecting people on the system to services, right? And I know in that presentation, we saw a draft of it. They do a great job. Sergeant Rodriguez leads that team, but everybody in that team is great. And they're still partnering. Actually, I think I think today we're running some, a detail out there where while the HAT team is out, right, we're gonna start running some some outreach details specific to where our officers and the HAT team are going out, connecting people to services. So we're gonna start running those a couple times a month. Listening session tours, I definitely talked a lot about, through the last couple of slides about our partnerships with our law enforcement partners in the region. But, not forgetting our own partners internally here at the Council and Metro Transit, we partnered with the general manager and the chief operating officer about listening session tours, and that's been great. So myself and members of the command staff have been out listening to the ridership to really see what's going on, right? And then we take that feedback to heart to redirect services. And then employee tells and howls too. I mean, thanks to the general manager, every quarter we're going out to town halls, and I've asked the command staff, I'm really thankful for all the work the command staff's done the last couple of weeks, but it's not just the chief out at the town halls, there's different aspects, different members of the command staff out there, and that's been really beneficial too, right? It's a different voice, it's just a different, tone out there, so, and getting the command staff active too, but that's one way, again, making sure that we're focusing on hearing what our partners want us to be doing internally too. Last slide here, I'm cruising through these slides. I certainly understand my role as the interim chief of police, and I understand, what my role is right now. And part of my role is to bring stability to the department, which I hope that I'm doing. But it's not just me. The command staff that's out there, the 2 other captains, we have 5 lieutenants right now, and then 2 administrative managers. The entire team is very committed to what we're doing right now and very experienced. So not just, I'm trying out there in my current role, and now the entire command staff is ensuring, I feel like bringing a lot of stability to the organization right now to help us through this transition. And I talked a little bit about just some transit policing philosophy, right? I mean, transit policing and beat policing, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we're doing right now. That's the basis of transit policing. It's not my approach, it's not something that's new, it's just stuff that we need to kind of get back to. I put Sir Robert Peel up there, I usually don't read quotes, but I'm gonna read this one. But Sir Robert Peel essentially founded the 7 basic principles of policing, right? And he said, the police are the public, the police are the public, and the public are the police. And to my mindset, that's exactly what transit policing are, right? The transit cops are out there on the system, they're embedded in there, they're out with the community every day working to solve problems, and that's what we do, and that's what we're gonna be selling as we go out there to our new officers that we're trying to recruit. Like, if you really wanna work in the community and work with community members, right? And not just to be saying you need to work for the transit police, because that's what we do, right? And this community approach, it really is the safety security action plan. And I would also argue it's best practices. I mean, certainly the city of St. Paul is doing that with the Office of Neighborhood Safety, but it's not just the police out there anymore trying to solve all these problems. And for me, I talk to the general manager quite often about this. The safety security action plan, especially for me being here for 20 years, really was the first time that it was it wasn't just the police trying to solve all the problems. And so when you see those crime numbers going down, it's not just because of the work that the police are doing. It's the work that the TRIP agents are doing, the supplemental security agents are doing, the work that ENF is doing. The work that we're all doing as a team is the reason that stuff is going down, because we're taking that community approach. And we've also been talking a lot about policing as a service. I talked a little bit about that on the listening session tours there. We want to get back to ensuring that we're providing a service to our community, right? So that means the officers getting out in the garages, that's being very active in there, being active in the community. So we understand that crime stats are important, and I know we led off with crime stats, but maybe the next presentation we lead off with policing as a service. I'm not sure, but policing as a service and the service that we're providing the community, it's not just a cliche to us, it's actually what we need to be doing. And then just building on past successes. I'm certainly grateful for some of the mentorship and the guidance that I've had over the years, whether it be Commissioner Harrington or Commissioner Jacobson, just giving guidance and giving that. But building upon our past successes, bringing back the beats and the beat policing is very important to us. So actually just last week, limited opportunity right now, but on October 30th, the beats returned to transit policing. So we have beat officers at BCTC, we have beat officers at 7th and Nicollet, and then downtown St. Paul here. As we get more staffing, we're going to bring those beats back. The beats are the most, in my time here at Transit, when we have those beats out there and we're in the community, that's the most successful tool that we can have with connecting with everybody. Because those beat cops, you put two good beat cops out there, they can solve a lot of problems and they work with that community. So as of October 30th, those beats are back again, limited basis. We're gonna have to work on some overtime details, but that's gonna be our success. Even when we're talking about it at the quarter management committee meeting earlier, even as we expand in these other areas, and that's some of the stuff we've been talking to the chiefs about, we wanna bring beats back to the gold line, bring beats back out to Eden Prairie. Like, as we bring up our staffing, those beats will return to get back into the community. That's building upon past successes. That's not anything that's my idea, that's the idea that when I came here in 2004, that's what we were doing, that's what we need to get back to. And then just really leveraging partnerships, that's something that, we've always done, and more so now than ever, leveraging our partnerships in the region with our short staffing. While we're short staffing, and the details that Sergeant Johnson's been doing along the Green Line is a prime example. While we're short staffed, we're leveraging our partnerships with our partners here in the city of St. Paul to ensure that we're maximizing our resources. And then just really something that I've talked to the command staff a lot about the last couple of weeks is just really providing a culture of empowerment. Like, it's not just one person's job or one person's responsibility to do all this stuff. While I'm in the interim role and again understand my role, it's really trying to provide a whole system of empowerment to our team, our command staff, our sergeants, our officers, our admin staff, our CSOs, to let them go out there and make decisions and have that empowerment. And I feel like that type of stuff is what's gonna really bring people to our organization. It's what we've done, again, back to past successes. Those are a lot of things that we've done previously, so that's what we're gonna be bringing back. So, sorry, I know I buzzed through those quick things. Happy to take some questions.
Question, Peter?
I'm just curious about the beat cops. What does a beat look like? A day in the life of a beat cop in downtown St. Paul. Are they walking around Central Station and walking around downtown, or what does that look like?
Chair, Councilmember Lindstrom. Yeah, day of life in the beat cops, you're gonna go to roll call, right? So right now you go to roll call at our East Command office off of Transfer Road, and then you would drive downtown and you would get down to the beat. You'd probably park your squad right down at 5th and Minnesota. We have a substation down at 6th and Minnesota. You'd probably go down to the beat, check your gear, and then just start making your contacts. There could be some calls pending, but that whole system, you're gonna be out of your car, you're gonna be in the skyways, you're gonna be walking around, you're gonna be connecting with people. If the St. Paul officers are down here, you're gonna be interacting with them. The whole point of the beat is to get out of your car and interact with the community. They're gonna be in the car sometimes, right? They're gonna make arrests, they're gonna have to transport people, but like, generally speaking, you're gonna get to your assignment and you're gonna be out there visible the entire time. So you could be in the skyway, you could be on the street, you're gonna be out and about.
Thanks.
Tony?
I just really appreciate the manner in which your presentation has flowed, the sense of your role being to bring stability to the department, the impression of greater communication and collaboration with partners, the empowerment culture. All of those things are such very positive pieces to touch on as you work to build the partnerships that we need and the active relationships and activity that we need. And I also heard beat cops as a very positive thing, wanted to make that comment. Also ask the question, and thank you, by the way, for the manner in which you have shown forward the sense of understanding the needs of the department and the community. Thank you for that. I wonder if on the beat cop issue, on the beat cop change, I should say, you have already been implementing a kind of a flavor of beat cop at Dale and University. I comment on the incredible changes that the community has seen and commented on in that location around Green Line. It has appeared to be needed. The questions are, what happens when things go back to normal? Could you just respond to that a little bit? I love the thought. I know you're working to expand it. Are you currently implementing that in that location?
And Chair, Councilmember Carter. So the beat cop philosophy, while I mentioned they're at a couple locations, as you get more staff, they're gonna expand, right? So we could have a Unidale beat, we could have a Snelling beat, I mean, there's all kinds of aspects to that. Trying to answer your question, I think the biggest thing, and it's like, I can't take credit for it, I mean, Sergeant Johnson and running these focused enforcement details along the corridor of St. Paul, that's really the credit, that team that is going out there working, building that connections with St. Paul is really helpful, and then just with people in the community, so I mean, I think we can expand out upon that. Hopefully, I don't know if that might have answered your question fully.
Kind of, sorta, it sounds like you're doing what is needed. And if in fact you continue to see that kind of need in different locations or hotspots, it sounds as though you respond in that way. That's what I've seen. I appreciate it. Wasn't trying to give you credit, I really wanted to know if this was a big cut.
Okay, go ahead.
Councilmember Chair, just one other piece I'll add, and if the chief wants to piece in any conversation specific. So over the last 6 months, there's been conversations specifically Green Line related with SPPD, Ramsey County and other partners around how do we work together and think about some of these challenging areas where disorder, dysregulation have showed up at unsatisfactory levels that can lead to feelings of uncomfortability and increases in actual law breaking. And you mentioned one of them at Dale University, the chief mentioned another at Snelling University. I think separate from the beat effort going on have been these coordinated efforts with those jurisdictional partners, which would have happened separate and distinct from even seeing the beat concept come in. So to me, when I hear this, I hear beat cop is a new layer of something that you individually are leading within the department of what we can do, which is actually a little distinct from some of the community conversations around what we can collectively do with other jurisdictions at some of those spots along the Green Line. Is that a fair way to frame it?
Chair, Regional Administrator O'Connor, yeah, I believe so, yeah, so I mean, the beats are just another layer of what we would be doing outside of there, but I would say, we have a ComStat report, we have, back to the building up the administrative team the last couple of years, we have 2 data analysts, they're great, right? So I mean, we have so much data that we're compiling, so we're constantly looking at ways, and we just had a ComStat meeting this afternoon, so looking at data and seeing where that stuff is, while we have a beat, into a certain area, it could expand there, but that's also where those focus, getting back to some methods that worked before, we're still gonna run focus enforcement details in certain areas depending on what those stats say.
Thank you. And thank you for the context as well.
Any more questions? Tyrone?
I just had one question about the CSO program. How long has it been going on and how many people are in the program? And I guess the third one would be, does that reach out to, what other organizations does that program reach out to? I guess to kind of recruit people.
Chair, Councilmember Carter, how long the CSO program itself, I might get this date wrong, I think it's like 2008, right? The Pathways program, we're only in our second cohort, right? So the Pathways program really started last year. And the first time that we went through it, we got, one candidate out of it. But it was the first time we're building that program. The one candidate we got out of there, we showed the picture of him, if you Google the KSTP article, it's a great story, right? So we're building upon that. Right now, when we look at how many people are in the current program right now, we have 2 more weeks. It's like, I feel like we've had about 100 people apply, that's not many people are in the program, but there's a lot of interest, but where we're going to recruit, really leveraging on, thanks to, again, Chief Axtell and Richard Harrington, their resources in the community, we're really working with the police associations to go out there and work with them to try to get that information out there. So I mean, I think the second core, we're gonna keep building upon that. I think that's why we gotta build upon the third core, because we're getting a lot of momentum from that. So I mean, if anybody has any ideas of other places that we should be recruiting at, I'm happy to hear that. But I think, we're happy to go wherever, and thanks to our team with HR, they're out there with us doing that type of stuff. Hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, we're ready for part 2?
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, please.
Chair, Chair and council members, I just wanna, oftentimes you say like, thank you to us, and we certainly appreciate that, but, on behalf of me, the entire department, we just wanna say thank you, Chair, council members, the Regional Administrator O'Connor, and General Manager Canderas, when you think about how we're gonna build back the department and bring stability to it. We need support from our leadership, so I'm just super thankful, and the whole department is thankful for everything you do for us, so thank you.
Well, Chief, thank you very much, and I'll speak on behalf of all of us here in the council. We want to find not only ways to support you, but to be consistently supporting you. We know that this doesn't happen with any one step, but many steps over time. And given the momentum and the record you've already exhibited, we have great confidence that we'll get there.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Okay.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair, council members. I'm actually gonna invite the other people who will be presenting to go ahead and come up here and, because we'll go through this rather quickly, so. As usual, it's a multi-department, multifunctional set of work behind the Safety and Security Action Plan, so we have a lot of people leading different elements who are going to share some updates with you today. And just before I jump into the background, Interim Chief Dotseth actually beat me to it. I was going to thank him for being willing to step into this interim role during this really important time and just really appreciate all the leadership you've brought to this and just the work of the police department right now too. People are working tirelessly around the clock to continue to advance the work we set forward in the Safety and Security Action Plan, and we're excited to be here today to share some highlights with you. As we do every quarter when we come before you with this update, we like to ground our conversation in the history of this work. You're well aware of that history by this point, but the Safety and Security Action Plan did turn about 2 years old this year, back in June was the 2-year mark, but that came after the culmination of many years of work, engaging with community, with employees, under the leadership and vision of the Council Police Work Group led by the Vice Chair. And just, today we're here to give you a status update on where this work stands, but I'd like to remind people that this is a multi-year effort that really is rooted in work led by the council and guided by what we're hearing from community and our own employees. As you're well aware too, the Safety and Security Action Plan is really our document that pulls together the action items that we are advancing to increase safety and the perception of safety on our system. Those action items reside in 3 areas of work: improving conditions on the system, training and supporting our employees, and engaging customers and partners. In terms of an overall status update, we continue to advance every item in the Safety and Security Action Plan. We do not provide a status update on all 43 items tonight, but you can read the latest update in our written report, which was also made available as part of the presentation this evening. We will spotlight a few efforts this evening, though, to give you a sense of how some of this work is progressing. And I'll just note that as we continue to advance this work, and as you can see, the majority of our action items are in implementation, we also know we have more work yet to do, and just appreciate this opportunity tonight, not just to update you, but to hear from you, your questions, your ideas, as we continue to improve our efforts on these fronts. Before I turn it over to others to give some updates on different elements of the Safety and Security Action Plan, I wanted to share that the preliminary budget that's out for public comment now would increase our investment in public safety and really continue to support and grow the work that we outline in the Safety and Security Action Plan. This includes increasing more official presence on the system. It will grow the Transit Rider Investment Program to 100 employees by the end of 2025, and you'll hear more of an update on that program with the trip manager, Leah Palmer, here in a moment. It includes supporting a pilot where we will work with the St. Paul Downtown Alliance to have safety ambassadors at 3 locations, and Barry Farrington will speak about that more in a few moments. It's also continuing to grow our supplemental security efforts. We have found at the 8 locations we have supplemental security officers now that is making a difference in the conditions at those locations and look to continue to expand that investment as one of our layers of presence on the system. And of course, it's going to continue to support our police department and the recruiting and retaining of both officers and our CSOs. In addition to growing official presence on the system, the 2025 budget as proposed would also increase staffing that supports other aspects of the Safety and Security Action Plan. When we developed the plan, we heard from many people how important the conditions at stations or stops or shelters when they're waiting for transit or passing through after riding transit. That's part of that experience and part of where people may not feel safe as well. So keeping our public facilities and our vehicles in good condition is all part of the broader effort that we're advancing in the Safety and Security Action Plan, and the budget is expanding staffing in areas such as our public facility workers. It's continuing the efforts we have to clean bus rapid transit buses while they're in service to really make sure we're doing all we can to improve the customer experience. So that was an overview, just some highlights of what's in the budget. Right now I'm going to hand it over to different people who are up here to talk a little bit about what that investment means, but it'll be a broader programmatic update as well. So we'll start handing it back to Interim Chief Dotson to talk a bit about the police budget. It's this, yeah.
Chair, council members, the preliminary 2025 budget for police officers, community service officers, well, really for the entire police department, we're gonna continue that 171 number. That's still what our goal is for full-time strength. Our community service officer program, you know, we've had the number of 70 up there. We're gonna move that down to 55, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But really the reason why we're doing that is we want to bringing in 6 more administrative staff members to help with some of the administrative duties. Now, and I talked about that in a previous slide about how our admin staff, we've been able to retain them, and they've been, again, just a great help. They've been taking on a lot of the responsibilities that maybe we'd have some of our sworn staff doing, and that really frees up the sworn staff to be out on the system, patrolling the system. So that's what our request is. The number for 55 CSOs, you know, we're at 15 right now. We bounce around between that 15 and 20 number. I'm still very confident that even with the Pathways program, we still have enough room in there at 55. So we're comfortable with that assessment, and then again to work with to bring in some more administrative support to help with some of the admin duties.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go
Just
ahead.
one quick, and again, sorry if I missed it, but what are we at? We have the 171 goal now, but what's our number right now?
Chair, Councilmember Johnson, we're at, well, we had 2 more to start this week, so we're 110.
Okay, so we're up a couple, that's good. And then is that 171, which is part of the 2025 budget, and Councilmember Barber is not here, but all you Smart Transportation Committee members are, Mr. Chair. So is that a good number as we are now expanding our network in 2025 and beyond, or, you know, just trying to match up, you know, with the network now, where we're kind of making the system work right for where people are traveling, but also that expansion. So how is that aligning with that number? Because I've seen that number for quite a while, but we're moving in a good direction as we bring on transit and riders are coming back, and we've got other things coming online. So what are the methodologies for 2025, 26, 27 that you're working towards?
Chair, Councilmember Johnson, great question, and I probably could talk about this till 6 o'clock. So for years, we've kind of done like a model of like, you know, this is how much money we have for whatever project and what we can get. Back to our administrative staff over the last couple of years, again, just doing tremendous work. We're now working on a model for staffing that has science behind it. We're actually just getting ready to do a presentation to the general manager in 2 weeks. So my hope is as that allocation model, right, and I don't wanna give too much away, but it's great. Like there's been a lot of time on it. Traditionally, what we struggle with is like in a lot of cities, they'll do like a population model. It's just, or a crime stat model, it's just a little different for us. So I think the model they came up with is gonna make a lot of sense. And it's not really that far off from what we're at, but it's gonna include each one of those additional lines. So when an additional line comes in there, the metric that they're using, there's some science behind it that we can bring it back to the Transportation Committee or through transit leadership to have that.
You can bring that to management if you want to.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that because I'm somebody who is like data driven, science based, and we've got the best and the brightest people here at Met Council to help us with that. And I think it's dynamic, so it's not about just next year, it's about the subsequent years, because you know, we gotta ramp up. And you guys are doing great work right now to increase your ranks, but you've got to plan ahead. So I feel that you know, it's easy to get into that reactive mode scenario, and I feel like certainly the world's turned upside down, it's still turning upside down, but we can get beyond that. And so I really appreciate where you're going, and I'm so interested to hear about what you're doing. And I don't know if other regional transit departments across the nation are doing this, and you know, but I got to go to one of the conferences when they were here, but I just love this kind of stuff, so thank you for bringing it forward and sharing more about that with us. I think that's just super helpful, because we need the people there, and you've gotta have the plan, so thank you for that.
Just a real quick question then. Is there any, Leslie, you talked about the budget. From the police department, any sort of capital improvement that you just wish you had? Any sort of physical thing, any Corvettes that you want to add in the fleet or anything like that?
To go fast,
I threw you off with that last great one, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is a question for her, but it's a great question because we're talking actually about support facilities generally and facilities, particularly at our East Command, and some opportunities to modernize that workplace for the employees based out of there. But I think it's a great question. I'm interested in your thoughts.
Chair, Councilmember Lindstrom. Yeah, I mean, I think facilities, right? I mean, I think we're working through like, you know, I've seen the transition of like our squad cars and just technology in general at the department over the last couple of years. And I feel like we got pretty good equipment when it comes to that. But yeah, I agree. I mean, we moved to the new building a couple of years ago and that helped. But yeah, what do we have on this side of the river long term? I don't know what that looks like, but those are certainly conversations, as the general manager said, that we're currently having right now. So I could forecast some proposals coming at some point. But yeah, you can't go wrong with facilities, for sure.
Good evening, Chair and council members. My name is Leah Palmer. I'm the manager of the Transit Rider Investment Program. And thank you for taking time tonight to hear the updates from the Safety and Security Action Plan, and I'm happy to give you an update now on the Transit Rider Investment Program. So as the general manager mentioned, the 2025 budget proposal is a really major investment into community safety. And community safety in ways that I think really complement what the police department is doing and provide those layers, the official layers, and ways that we can all work together to increase safety and security for our riders and for our employees. So I think the general manager mentioned that it doubles the investment in supplemental security. So those are the security guards that you may have seen out at some of the transit centers or at some of the LRT stations. They've really made a huge difference in folks' experience there. And so we're happy to share that we're looking to expand that and add more locations. We are also planning to add up to 100 trip agents by the end of 2025, which sounds like a wild number. I'll talk about staffing in a second, but I will say that right now, as of today, we are 20% of the way to 100. So we're already digging in, we're already getting there. It is a slightly aggressive schedule. It would be 10 to 13 agents hired just about every other month. But given the interest that we have had, both when we had the job open externally and most recently internally just now, we're seeing a lot of applicants and a lot of interest, which is really positive. Our current opening is an internal only opening, and we had 30 applicants in 3 days. So that's the kind of success that we're seeing with people that are interested in becoming a part of the program.
Mr. Chair, just a quick one on that. And I know it's a new program, but when people move out of the program for whatever reason, are we capturing that data so that we understand what the attrition is as we're trying to grow and slip it back? You know, we can continue the forward movement and get some data behind that too.
Chair and Councilmember Johnson, I'm gonna go ahead and knock on wood and say that none of our 21 have left yet. Now granted, they've been in place for about 6 weeks. We have looked at the attrition from our contracted agents and where we can improve on that front. Honestly, it's a very young workforce, and so a lot of it is just reinforcing workplace norms, to be honest.
Thank you.
So as I mentioned, we are 20% of our way to 100. As of the end of Q3, we did have 13 of 22 positions filled. Metro Transit executive staff was able to add an additional 10 FTEs to the program that we're going to fill before the end of the year. So where we had 8 start just last week, we're up to 21. And then looking to add to fill those last 11 positions before the end of the year. And I'm confident that we'll have a solid pool to choose from. For as far as our contracted allied agents go, again, at the end of Q3, they had 25, 11 more started in October, and they're planning for yet another cohort in the middle of November. So they're growing their ranks as well. The assistant managers, I hired 2 assistant managers in Q3. And the last position is actually open right now. Looking for applicants, little nudge. So I would encourage people to take a look at that. Again, it's a really dynamic role. It's a very exciting time to be a part of Metro Transit and community safety, and of course the Transit Rider Investment Program. We are developing a shift supervisor position. We know that we need another layer of supervision between the agents who work on the street and the assistant managers. We need to add something in there. So that position has passed through the classification committee, and we're now at the point of writing the job description and looking forward to posting that pretty soon. And then the senior project administrator position is going to be a person who manages contracts. So the security contract, our outreach contracts, and others are gonna come under the umbrella of the Transit Rider Investment Program. So we are going to be hiring someone who will manage those contracts, audit, make sure that the contractors are following what we expect out of them and what's been outlined in the contract itself. And to share just a few numbers with you here. So we're very, very proud of our fare inspection numbers. You can see that in Q3 of this year, between the transit police and the trip unit, we had 133,000, almost 134,000 fare inspections, which is just an enormous increase over the same period last year. It's very exciting to watch. Each one of those fare inspections is really a customer contact. Those are people that we are touching base with, that we're present for, that we're interacting with. We're, assisting folks in wheelchairs. We are helping answer questions about how to get around. We're providing outreach referrals and connecting with HAT. Answering questions about detours, some of the bus bridges and things like that during rail shutdowns. I'm gonna go ahead and say we've saved 14 lives through Narcan administration. So it's like I said, it's a very exciting time in this program. The work that they're doing here is reflected in numbers. It's very strong work, but there's a lot that we can't capture in a number, but is truly making a difference, I believe. And with that, I'll pass it to Ms. Alina.
Yes. Thank you. Good evening, Chair Stelly, council members. My name is Elena Martina. I'm the Senior Manager for Equity and Inclusion at Metro Transit. I use she, her, ella pronouns. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the Transit Service Intervention Project. So the Transit Service Intervention Project pilot has concluded per mandate, per 2023 legislative mandate in July of this year. However, intervention services and outreach efforts have not really stopped. So we still have, I call them TC vendors, but they are contract providers that are out in the system on the Green Line primarily, but some of them on the blue line as well, providing intervention services. You see the numbers there on the screen. So since we launched contract providers late last year and in partnership with the police department, I want to just acknowledge that the HAT team, you heard from the HAT team just not so long ago, they have been instrumental and great partners to support our contract providers and to really reach people that are in need of these intervention services. The 10 contract providers have contacted a little bit over 11,000 people that were interested or needed intervention services, and about half of that led into referrals. The referrals continue to be heavily on housing and shelter. That's the primary, intervention services and the needs of our riders, following by basic needs and food, and then mental health and treatment. But housing and shelter continue to be overwhelming the number one need. Again, in partnership, I think Chief Dossett shared in his slides that 41 people were placed in treatment from the HAT and the TSIC program, and I'm happy to say that it's 45 actually today, Chief, I learned. So we continue to work really diligently with a lot of people that need several intervention and outreach contacts to accept or go into a treatment program. And then you heard from General Manager Canderas that in 2025, we have dedicated resources to continue intervention services under the TREAT program. We are working closely with procurement, and we are hoping to have that procurement set up to kick off the RFP in the spring of 2025. And you heard from Leah that there will be a contract administrator under TRIP that will help with these contract providers. So probably you won't hear from me in the future as I'm transitioning that to TRIP, but certainly, happy that I am still part of this transition and working with the remaining contract providers. Thank you.
Alright. We didn't plan how we sat, so apologize for that. There you go. Good evening, my name's Barry Farrington. I work in the Engineering and Facilities Department at Metro Transit, and we are working on developing a partnership with the St. Paul Downtown Alliance. We're preparing a contract that would bring the Downtown Improvement District safety ambassadors to 3 stations in downtown St. Paul: Central Station, Union Depot Station, and 10th Street Station. So the safety ambassadors at these stations would do welfare checks, they would make social service referrals, perform light cleanup, report things to Metro Transit for our staff to take care of, remind people about the code of conduct. So if you're familiar with the safety ambassadors in downtown St. Paul that they're doing in public places already, it would be very similar work on our stations. And this work is supplemental to Metro Transit staff continuing to clean, repair, and provide the services that we do. Another layer of official presence. So the safety ambassadors are part of the Downtown Improvement District Street Team that provides services across the district, which is expanding as of January 1st. So from the river to I-94, from the Excel Center to CHS Field. So by having the safety ambassadors on our platforms as well, that partnership will be a chance to test how that works for a 6-month period to start with the option to extend for a year. And those ambassadors will be on the platform the same hours, days as they are throughout the downtown area. So we will have a business item coming before the council next month on this.
Go ahead, Brent.
Just as, you can pass the mic, it's just more of a, I don't have a question, but I wanna add the significance of, as we're enlisting partners in what is ultimately our region's system that we all need to have ownership in as a public good. We both appreciate the downtown community offering to come forward as a part of the solution through the DID partnership and for the creativity here and the work that Metro Transit led in figuring out how to make that meaningful. And so it's just another good layer, but it's also a layer from a group that sometimes has strong feelings about how is transit going in our downtown areas. They're now at the table to get to be a part of the real-time work, and I think that could really bear significant fruit. And I'll just say transparently, I hope there's similar opportunities going forward in the other large city to the west, because we could do something that way. And I think this will bear fruit that way, but it's just a really exciting opportunity coming forward.
Yeah, I wanna commend the regional administrator who helped kind of put this together. I mean, think about this downtown district. It not only has these more, eyeballs and people and hands, around our platforms and in our communities, but it is a much tighter coordination, I think, even more than what we have at St. Paul Police. And let's face it, the mayor's office, Public Works, Parks, a lot of people working downtown, and now they're all kind of emotionally, because their fingerprints are all over it, the plan that kind of work together.
Mr. Chair, again, just a quick comment on this. And I know they're out there working and they're not data scientists and gatherers, but will we be able to gather some of their intel, eyes, ears, what they've got going on to help us to also come up then with strategy and policies for that partnership in our own internal workings, so that we just know what's going on out there more, I think to be more proactive than reactive.
Maybe I'll take a quick shot at that, Mr. Chair. I would just say, Councilmember, there's already monthly conversations going on that front. The proactivity and the conversations are what actually led to this being one of the outcomes. But if you were to go by 10th Street Station, for example, today and look at it 2 months ago, I would say those conversations have also led to thinking about how you address a corner in which there's a platform. But the platform's not the only thing. There's a public health building, there are churches, which at certain times of the week are busy, but at other times are not. There's a school that moved from the corner. And the only reason I can describe every single thing on the corner is because they've helped describe everything on the corner to me. And so I think that's already underway. They also track through their staff, through the DID, who comes in, who stays, who works there, and why. And so I do think there's good cross-pollination happening that will continue to happen as we move ahead.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, and I'm just channeling Councilmember Bento a little bit too here, because we all at a moment in time see what we see, but somebody who's out there all the time can really string it together, and I think that's the beauty in this partnership, is you've got different points of view, but it's being all strung together, so.
And I would add is, because I sit on the board of the St. Paul Downtown Alliance, and the DID makes reports every month to that board, and they have very detailed statistics, and so we can either share that or even have them come and present to us, because I think it's kind of interesting what they see. Pam.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair, council members. We are super excited today to talk to you about yet another layers of presence and partnership. So lots to hear. Metro Transit just this past Monday started a pilot project with Listening House. And we have Mary Margaret here, who is the Director of Operations for Listening House, here in our audience. So we're really, really excited. So this launched this past Monday. Maybe a little bit more about Listening House. So Listening House is a daytime shelter in St. Paul for people experiencing poverty, homelessness, and loneliness. Anyone who drops in can find safety, a hot cup of coffee, and a caring community to help and just listen. So I was there this Monday morning. I've been there quite a bit over the last couple of months, and it's really a nice, comforting place to be. Lots of nice couches to hang out on, so it's great. So in coordination with the city of St. Paul and Ramsey County, Listening House created a program called St. Paul Work Now that provides unsheltered Ramsey County residents with sustainable work and income. The program created teams of workers who will focus on tasks like snow removal, cleaning up parks, skyways, and other areas in downtown. So before we came along, that's what they were doing. And I believe all of this kind of came together thanks to your regional administrator and some other local partners. Our general manager appreciate bringing this to us and adding this partnership. So what is that partnership? So Listening House staff, as part of the Work Now program, they are going to be on our trains from Robert Street through Snelling Avenue. And they are gonna be getting on the train, getting off the train, cleaning up litter, reporting biohazards and whatnot. So from Robert Street all the way to Snelling Avenue, on and off the trains at every single station along the way, both eastbound and westbound. This past Monday morning, I was out with the group picking up litter myself. It was a lot of fun. And the staff that we work with, they're amazing human beings. When I was done, I didn't know if I wanted to come back because I got in like 2,600 steps.
Come back.
That's kind of a lot for an old lady like me.
This is a new lunch program.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know, I was just very humbled by, being out there with our riders and, the folks at Listening House, the staff, they know a lot of our riders and it was really humbling to be out there. It was just a lot of fun. Anyway, so in addition to being on Green Line from Robert Street to Snelling Avenue, the BRT stations at Snelling Avenue, they're gonna be handling those, and then they are adopting 4 stops that are just adjacent to Listening House headquarters. So we're excited about that. Trying to see what else what other fun I have to share. So that's kind of where we're at. That partnership, right now it's a pilot program because we're just kind of like feeling things out, like how does this work? The staff that were on the train either today or yesterday, they found some lost and found items. They're picking, when they're on the train for like 5 minutes in between stops, they're picking up litter. It's really cool and people are like, hey, there's the purple vest people out here. So it's really neat. That's all I have to report out. So I'm just very appreciative of this partnership. It's been really great.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, just one other piece I'll add from the St. Paul perspective, since they're not here presenting tonight. I mean, the goal of the St. Paul Work Now effort is also to create pathways into jobs they've identified within the city, particularly Parks and Rec, but I do think Public Works and Maintenance may be involved too. And so the city came forward with the proposal here through the mayor's office to say, we have individuals who we live in our community, who understand our areas, who want to be a part of the solution. This is a creative way for them to put resources toward trying to build pathways into jobs they need to fill and ensure that residents of their community are able to access those jobs. And we were sort of an in-between conduit to making it all come together. How do you transport through your own city? How do you think about the opportunity to expand areas that you can have ownership because it's not just about downtown? And it was a really neat opportunity. All of that being said, we then had to have a willing agency to be able to implement it. And we've all been a part of things where it's like good ideas go to die when they get into big organizations. And in this case, I just want to give credit on both of these efforts through the general manager to everyone here presenting tonight. The execution has followed through. And so we were able to sit in some rooms in the very beginning and say, this is a great idea, how do we make it happen? But to get to sit here now tonight and get to hear it all happening is just a real job well done from the Metro Transit team, and I want to say thank you for that.
Congratulations.
So that concluded our slides. Happy to take any other questions you might have.
Any questions? Reva
Well,
and Mento.
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody involved in all of these initiatives and being so creative and so collaborative. I know when this project started, I didn't think that it was going to create so many jobs because we were so focused on safety, but that is another aspect of these programs, so kudos.
Councilwoman Hurd?
I've heard the comments that I would have already made. There's one more, and of course, that is the connection to housing. And of course, this is a community that suffers from homelessness, episodic in some cases, and chronic in some cases. And so I'm just so thankful that this is a window in for us also to that community and to the ways in which we can be helpful and collaborative there as well. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Councilmember, former Commissioner, current Councilmember Carter. I'm gonna keep working on that one. See, muscle memory. I would just add that the GM and I were part of a meeting yesterday afternoon. Yesterday was with David Hewitt from Heading Home Hennepin. We've done a similar conversation with Heading Home Ramsey a couple months ago, but talking about homelessness, current action plans, what's underway, opportunities to both connect in the spaces that we are and what are those resources looking like and how do we continue to mutually reinforce. And some of that came out when Sergeant Rodriguez presented recently about the specific partnerships going on with Hennepin. But I do think we're trying to crack that nut simultaneously to some of this. And the one piece that's allowing us new inlets is by having more people who are involved in the effort, who all have different social circles than the traditional ones we've had. It gives you better opportunities to break in and say, this is a good idea, this is something you can trust. And we've got a long ways to go, but I just wanted to highlight those conversations yesterday. They really seem relevant to your comment here today.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilmember Check?
Yes, actually, Mr. Chair and members, I started my day today with the Minnesota National Guard. And they're asking us to help them recruit. And so they were talking, and it's a very similar population and where they were started to recruit as well as in the trade schools. Because this is a trade, it's a career, and it's with people that like to use their hands and engage folks. And so we're putting together some businesses for them to work with. But we're also doing it with the police department, and it really came around a critical issue of people just literally kicking your door down and robbing you because you're not gonna be, you have cash if you're working, and that you won't call the police because you may not have your papers. And so we're actively going to be putting together some recruiting efforts because that's where we want to go. It's just add the officers that know the community, that speak the language, that people feel comfortable calling. But that same group, like I said, the National Guard itself and recruiting, and there's a Colonel Suarez that invited us, and we'll be doing some meetings with them as well. So there's different avenues to get at these different issues, but we do need more, like everybody else, we need more people, and we need more people really wanting this as a career.
Great. Any other thoughts, questions? Well, the whole team, congratulations again. This is every quarter you come up with more programs, more results, and it's really inspiring. And I think whatever we think about what's happening nationally, when you look at what's happening locally, and I mean hyper-locally, like this bus stop, that stretch of the road, it really gives you heart that we're doing some great work, and it really shows. So with that, if there's not any more questions, we will see you. And I love the idea of these creating a sense of ownership. This isn't just somebody else's light rail line. This is all of ours and the community, and it really is it's a wonderful way that we're kind of spreading that work. So.
And Mr. Chair, just briefly,
Yeah.
I don't know how often we have to report to the legislature. Is it just on demand, or do we have to schedule with them or whatever?
Both.
But I mean,
Oh,
I'm trying to really be not snotty today. It's kind of hard. But so I hope the whole totality of this lovely puzzle that's coming together is really on display for them, because I think it's just fantastic. It is the way to find stability and solutions and help in all of it. And I really want them to know that, every partner is important, but we are at the center of all of this. And not that we need to have lots of pats on the back, we're not used to it to begin with, but we should really say, I think the tremendous work that the lift that you're all doing, not the policymakers, but I can't wait for a year from now to be able to tell the additional stories of what's going on. And I really hope they get this as they convene into session next year.
Absolutely. Well, with that note, I'll call this meeting adjourned, but stay tuned. We'll see you all soon.
So, yeah,